Welcome to Coffee with Purpose, everyone. Welcome to a nice sunny April morning. Flowers are coming up. Things are good in the world. And welcome to Jillian Wilson Martin, our town's sustainability director, who's here to update us on all the great things her office is doing. And I know, Jillian, when we talked earlier, you were saying something about possibly having a staff member you wanted to introduce us to or tell us about at least. So,
Yeah, she should be joining
yeah.
in a few minutes. I think she might be running a little behind, but she
Okay.
should be on shortly.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's her, Megan. Is that
Yes,
possible?
that's
Yeah.
her.
All right, cool. Well, as much for her benefit as anything else, because I think you know most of us, but we'll follow our usual custom of super brief introductions. Let's start with Carol. Carol?
Yeah, good morning, Carol Berkowitz, over a 50-year resident of Natick. Love the town. Hi, Jillian. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, great
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Carol. Kathleen?
Hi, good morning, Jillian. Welcome, Megan. I'm Kathleen Donovan. I'm on the Library Board of Trustees, 35-year resident of Natick, volunteer with Keep Natick Beautiful, and always interested to hear about the great stuff going on in the sustainability world.
Thanks, Kathleen. Bill?
Hi, Jillian. Glad to have you here. Love to keep up with you and everything that's going on in your world. So uh, glad you're here. You know
Thanks.
me.
Thanks, Bill. Irene, you're on mute at the moment if you want to say hi.
I'll say hello. I'm here visiting my brother, so I thought I'd say
You don't know me. I am a
hello
long-term Native
Great.
resident, former
for
school
you.
committee, and town forest. I might be turning off my video very
Know
soon.
me. I am a long-term Natick resident, former school committee, and but look forward to listening to what you have to say.
Great. Thank you. Carrie?
Good morning. Hey, Jillian. Nice to see you. For those who are 23-year resident here, board member for Keep Natick Beautiful and Natick Rotary, Repair Cafe, do property management and maintenance and handyman work, and generally just very busy. But very nice to see you again, and very much looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Carrie. Sally?
Hi, Jillian. Good morning. It's really good to see you. In fact, it feels just natural that you'd be here because you've got a bunch of tree huggers right here who love everything you do and respect so much of how you've made Natick beautiful.
Thanks, Sally. And let's see, Martin, I don't know if you're able to speak or not, but
Yeah, I can put video on for a second. And I'll probably turn the video off. I'm actually live from Mass General Hospital. The first time I've been live on Coffee with Purpose for some time. So I look forward to hearing what Jillian has to say. My sister's also here, so we're going to try to. Hopefully, we will eliminate the feedback, but we'll definitely listen and hear what's going on.
yep. Oh, that's fine. Glad to see you both. Rick?
Good morning, Jillian. And good morning also to Megan. I enjoyed reading your bio.
I just turned it down.
I loved the news about the heat pump, at Lilja coming in, the grant money for that. So congratulations again on the great work that you do. Megan, you'll find you have a very supportive audience here. And I've Eco Natick, I'm a regular there. We're organizing Earth Day now. That's our focus right now, and look forward to meeting you.
Thanks, Rick. Brinley?
Good morning, Brinley Vickers, 26-year-ish resident of Natick. I love the work that Jillian does. I'm so grateful that she chose our town. Jillian, love having you here. I was on the recycling committee way back when, before you were here, and for that last little bit before we switched it to more purposeful, to a different focus. Glad for that, glad for net zero. So happy to welcome Megan to town, and so glad you have help, more help, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brinley. Alan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alan Cantor. I'm finishing up my first year as a Natick resident, and like being here. Interested to hear what you have to say. Thanks.
Thanks, Alan. Donna? Maybe Donna.
It's Donna McKenzie, and it's always great to hear Jillian, which is why I'm up, even though I'm not a morning person. I'm looking forward to Jillian and Megan and everything you have to say. And I am especially looking forward to some kind of update on the plans for the new memorial school. In my dreams, it's going to be unbelievable, but I look forward to whatever good news you have to share today. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. And let's see. Cindy.
Morning. I'm sorry, I'm making everybody seasick. Um, I am a 5.5 year resident of Natick, and I'm a steward, a trail steward, and a Keep Natick Beautiful picker-upper, and I sing in sound and spirit. And I'm very excited about the fact that we even have a sustainability coordinator in Natick. So look forward to hear from you both. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. And I'm Doug. I moderate this group flying solo this morning. Sarah's out at a physical therapy appointment. And lately I've been just loving our new dual heat pumps and obsessing over measuring all of their energy output. I finally just had a chance to truly compare the total cost through this heating season compared to having oil last. And despite a month or two with $1,000 electric bills, we're still several $100s, if not $1,000 ahead of the game. So better heat, better for the planet, and better for the pocketbook. That's a triple win. So cool. All right. Well, welcome everyone. And Jillian, I'll turn it over to you. Feel free to share the screen as well. And I will let you introduce Megan.
Sure, great. Well, you guys all know me, I think, except for maybe Alan. Alan, nice to meet you. Following what everyone else said, I'll just share that I'm a 30-year resident of Natick. I moved here when I was 13, so 43 now. When I graduated Natick High School, I didn't expect to return to Natick and raise a family here and then work for the town, and here I am. And I actually really like it. In my role as a sustainability director, I have a lot of different projects going on that I want to share with you some information about. I didn't make any slides today, so hopefully we can just chat. But I'm really excited to introduce Megan, and I'll let her introduce herself. And she's joining us as my teammate. Her official title is a sustainability coordinator. And Megan, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. It's great to meet you and be in company with the fellow tree huggers and fans of Jillian. So it's my start of my 4th week now. I'm very excited. Have been getting, as Jillian said, on board with a lot of the different projects and seeing the whole scale of everything we're working on in the town. And it's really great to have so many community members that are passionate about helping keep our community clean and healthy and helping work on climate action together. Thank you so much for having us. And I graduated from Tufts University, studying environmental studies, and supported a lot of different nonprofit environmental organizing work, and excited to bring some of that knowledge to this new role and learn more about Natick with each day. So thanks, guys.
Cool. So I have a list of first, we're so excited about Megan. She's amazing. And she also brings like a really positive energy to the work and to the DPW where we sit. But I have like a list of projects that I thought we could just talk about. And I know this group always has really great questions too. So if there's a project that you want me to talk about or a question you have, if you want to put it in the chat that I can like make sure I get to it. And you can also, you're welcome to ask me questions along the way. The reason I actually first reached out to Doug about connecting with you guys was because of this public art project that we're working on in collaboration with the Morse Institute Library and others. It's a massive community education grant funded project, and we're partnering with the city of Framingham. We're each building these like twin structures or sister structures, I guess is the right way to describe them. They'll both have the same shape. They'll look like a almost like a home. And what's cool about them is that kind of in the spirit of some of the public art that's been done in Natick, there's shingles on the outside, and each of them is individually painted by a community member. So that's going to be going up in April this month, possibly early May, depending on how the construction plans out. But I was originally hoping to like have a shingle painting activity with you guys, but I think I've actually seen a lot of you at some of the other shingle painting events that we did. So I'm excited to see your efforts on that structure soon, which I think will be really cool. And the other things I wanted to chat with you about are, oh yes, thanks, Doug. This is the kind of a rendering of the outside of the project. So it's supposed to look like a house, and the shingles tell this data story where each color represents actions that you can take through the Mass Save program, and the purple represents the emissions you avoid. So that's the outside of it. And then the inside of it, or the interior, because it's not like completely closed in, has two murals. And one mural is of words. And those words are coming from this book called What If We Get It Right? Which is a book about climate change. And it takes kind of a more like positive spin on it and talks about solutions. And then the other portion of it is going to take images that children from Lilja Elementary drew. And the artist kind of photoshops them together into this like larger mural. So she kind of recreates the art that they make, and it's all around like sustainability prompts. So I think it'll be really neat. And it'll be up this summer until basically the end of August before Natick Days.
And where
So
is it physically going to be, or did you already say
it's
that?
going to be on the front lawn of the Morse Institute Library. A couple years ago, we had a public art structure there we called it an outdoor reading room. But this will be that structure you just saw, and it will be on the side in front of the older building, is where we're planning on positioning it. Okay, so that's project one. Next up, we always get a lot of questions about the dam, so I thought I would just give you guys a high-level update about that. That project was fully permitted last year, and we received a $1 million grant to help fund the construction work. And we went out to bid for a contractor in this winter, and we just signed that contract. It was under our expected cost, so it came in a lot lower than what we were expecting, which is great. And that project is scheduled to happen this summer. We have restrictions on when we can work in the water. So because of like fish and other like ecological reasons. And so our time that we're supposed to work in the water for this project is after June 15th until the end of August is the construction window for in-water work. And if you guys have followed this project, the way that it's going to work is the dam has an earthen berm, and that's like that park that's across the river if you're at the Bacon Free Library. And the contractor is going to build essentially a temporary road behind the spillway, behind the waterfall from Grove Park, the earthen berm, and then they will use machinery to remove the dam and then also the temporary road as they exit the river. They'll have a culvert, they'll have like essentially a bypass for the water in the river during that project. And the actual removal process is only expected to take a couple of weeks. It goes pretty quickly. And it's the sediment is being released naturally downstream. So we're really interested to get that project going. I've been working on that project since 2019. So it's been quite a long project, but maybe I'll pause because I know that people often have questions about the dam. Doug, yes.
Yeah, I've got two, and people may have others. The second one is you were saying that the sediment will be released naturally. Are there certain weather conditions that are required for the work to be able to proceed? I mean, if the forecast were for very significant weather, is it possible that those would cause short-term delays in the work? And the other question was, where does the park design work project sit, or kind of the companion thing of the
Yeah.
park that's going to be created? How's that progressing?
Those are both great questions. So, yes, there are some like weather dependent conditions. So if it was like a really, really wet summer, we might try to shift the work a little bit. So, time of year restrictions are based on like average, rainfall and things like that. But as we all know, like our climate is getting weirder. So it might shift, but that's when we're expecting the work to happen. And again, that work can happen typically like within a couple of weeks. So we have 6 weeks that we have that we're expecting to do it. And then it's also possible to get an extension if weather conditions aren't right. Also, with sediment, we have some pretty strong sediment monitoring plans set up. So that's something that both the contractor and the town have commitments on. And during the release of the sediment, there's more monitoring, and then it's monitored for an entire year. And as the time progresses from when the sediment is released, then we start to monitor like in later months, just like after and before major storms and things like that. So that's that. And then as it relates to the parks, Natick actually just put in a grant application focused on well, Natick received some of the Community Preservation Act funding to help finalize the design and support permitting related to the parks, I believe. I could be misspeaking. I haven't been as involved in the park work since the previous project and the grant that we worked on ended, but we did receive CPA funding to advance that project, which includes Old Town Park, Grove Park, which is the earthen berm, and then also the multipurpose park, which is where that skateboarding area is. And Natick just put in a grant application through the MVP program, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, state level program, to help fund the Grove Park and the multipurpose park improvements. We ended up taking the Old Town Park portion of it out because we didn't feel like that was going to be as aligned with that funder's priorities. The Grove Park and the multipurpose park have a lot more like climate resilient features that align with that program. But we also actually just submitted earmark requests through Catherine Clark's office for Old Town Park, and that was advancing in terms of this. It's called a uh, community partnership program or something like that. So that's through the federal government. So those are all advancing, and we should know about the Grove Park and multi-purpose park at the end of this summer, if not sooner, about funding for those.
Cool. Other
Were there
questions from anybody about the dam stuff? So it sounds like the designs for those parks are pretty much finalized, though. Is that?
Yes. Yeah. And they haven't really changed much since what folks saw through the design process that we did over 2 years. The one thing to remember is they don't include, at this stage, any park improvements don't include improvements at the river's edge. And there's, interest in adding boardwalks and things like that, but those are not part of what we're working on right away because we want to do that after the river channel is reestablished and we have a better sense of that. And those are things that we feel like can be done like in stages.
I see Carrie's got his hand up.
Yeah, just As you well remember maybe not well remember, back in February of 2018, and Megan was maybe still in middle school or maybe just starting high school. Myself, along with several of the tree huggers, some of whom are here now, we started Renewable Natick. And exactly 8 months after that, we drafted and promoted the resolution that town meeting passed in in October 2018 to move Natick to 100% renewable energy, net zero emissions. And wanted to see, without self-aggrandizing it at all, wanted to see how that project's mission is coming along in terms of reaching the goals that were kind of set out in that resolution.
Yeah.
Enjoyed my time serving on the sustainability committee with you. It was a great pleasure to work under your tutelage, you and Leo, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, that was actually something I had on my list also, which is at town meeting this spring, the Net Zero Committee will be giving an update on our progress working towards net zero. We actually recently updated our greenhouse gas emissions inventory. Sorry, I'm looking over here so I can like pull up the exact number. I'm going to share this with you guys. This was presented at the Finance Committee. I'm not going to give this whole presentation to you, but let me just share my screen for a second so you can get a preview. And this, like I said, has already been presented at FinCom as part of the process. They're going to be presenting under the committee article, which I forget if it's Article 1 or 2, but it's one of those articles that's always on the warrant for town meeting. So let's see. I asked for permission to share, sharing it. So again, this is a preview and I'm going to make the slideshow. And Kate Mora, who is the chair of the Net Zero Committee, is going to present this, but I'm just going to skip forward to our progress towards net zero. So we recently redid the greenhouse gas community-wide inventory, and we found that there was a 15% reduction in our emissions from our baseline, which was in 2017, and our latest data, which unfortunately is from 2022, so it's not as timely as we would like it to be, but it gives us a sense of how things have gone since 2017. And a lot of the reason for this is because our electricity has gotten a lot greener over that time. So I know this group, including Renewable Natick, and also there's members here that go to FCC, which have been strong supporters of clean energy and even choosing to pay more for their electricity, sometimes more than what the Eversource alternative is for clean energy. But sorry, I'm diverting. I'm like going on and on. This slide shows since 2017, the green is the percent of our energy that is coming from clean energy. The dark green is what the state requires, and the light green is the additional amount that Natick has required through our electricity aggregation program, which is a program that is optional. You can leave it at any time, but the default rate in that program has an additional amount of clean energy. And that default rate has, on average, been cheaper than the comparative rate that Eversource offers. So even having more clean energy sourcing in it, we've been able to save residents money. There's an additional option that I was referencing where residents can choose to have 100% of their electricity come from green energy through the aggregation program, but that's not what I'm showing here. But so this is a primary driver of why our emissions are down. And then another thing is that we have seen on both the residential and commercial side, but this is showing residential energy use. We have seen declines in natural gas since 2017. So in 2024 is the most recent data we have from Mass Save. And well, really from Eversource, which reports natural gas and electricity usage. And we've seen a decrease in that. And then we've also seen that Natick residents have really taken advantage of the Mass Save program, which I imagine, Doug, with your heat pumps, that was something that you guys utilized. Great. And then another thing that we've seen is that more people are choosing to buy electric cars. This shows for new vehicles that are registered in Natick using the mass vehicle census, just how it's changed since 2019, which is the earliest year we have available through Mass DOT. So back then it was only 8% of new vehicles were electric or hybrid. And now 44% of vehicles are electric or hybrid slash plug-in. So there's more options available than there were back then. And we'll see how this changes in the future. You know, a lot has changed since even last year for electric vehicles, but that's something that is also driving things. And then I'm not going to spoil it by sharing the rest of the presentation. But what I will say is that I'm going to stop sharing, is that what was it? The other thing I wanted to say. Hold on, let me stop sharing. How do I actually stop sharing? Oh, here we go. The other thing I was going to say is that Megan is actually going to be working on an update to our net zero action plan. And so that's going to be something she really starts to focus on in the coming months. And we'll be having like community engagement around that. And just the idea that we're going to be working on that's mentioned, that will be part of the remarks that are given by the net zero committee.
Cool. Brindley, I saw you just put something in the chat about charging stations. Did you want to add or say something about those as well, or just sharing information?
I am just sharing information. Jillian's talking about electric vehicles in Natick. It seemed like an appropriate thing to share.
Yeah. 44%. That's an awesome number.
That's just new vehicles, so that's not like all the vehicles, but yeah,
Right.
it's a pretty big shift. When people are buying a new vehicle, they're choosing different options than they chose before. They also have different options available. And speaking of electric chargers, we did replace almost all of our EV chargers in town. So now all of them require payment, which was a point of contention for some people in the past. Our goal is for them to be fully sustainable financially, and that the user fees cover the cost of not only the electricity, but there's software costs associated with the payment with the stations and like running, like actually accepting charges and things like that. And then there's also cost for maintaining them. So we're trying to reserve a portion of funds from those fees to help with ongoing maintenance. So that's something that Megan is also helping us manage.
Do you know what is it a cost per kilowatt then to use those stations? Do you know what that is?
It is. Yeah, and I'm blanking on the actual cost. I want to say it's 35 cents per kilowatt hour. The stations are Autel stations with a software called Red E, like the color red and then the letter E. And one of the reasons we chose that software is because they're also launching this load management program where we can prevent the stations from using so much power that they trigger these even higher electric bills. So the thing that's happening right now at a few of the locations at Pond Street and at Police Fire, where we have our most stations, they're not charging as fast as they will be able to charge once this load management software is available or like feature is available. Because right now we have to cap them all at a certain amount to prevent us hitting this level that would cause the electric cost to be a lot more expensive. And once we have that load management, when there's only one person charging, that person can get all of the power instead of having to share it across the stations. And then we can still manage that top. Which related, if anyone in this on this call has an EV charging station at home, Eversource just launched this new managed charging program, and you can get a discount on your electric bill for participating. And I think you get just even $50 to sign up. But I'm actually planning on signing my house up for it this week. But as part of it, you basically you use your software from your charging station and your vehicle to only charge your car at night or like not during the peak time. And that way you're helping to like manage the demand on the grid because most of what we pay for electricity, like we're paying so much more for electricity that we only need a few times a year. And that's a big driver in our electric costs. Thanks, Brinley, for putting all these things on the chat. I appreciate it. A few other things. So this kind of keeps going on the net zero stuff because that's like a lot of what my work is focused on. Is working on making our municipal and school buildings more sustainable and like aligned with our net zero plan. So that involves a lot of capital projects. And one project that we're doing this summer is we're replacing the rooftop units at the police station with new heat pump units. So that won't make the entire police station all electric, but it's like a step in the right direction. And it's also something that's pretty easy in terms of it's pretty modular. So right now there's rooftop units that rely on gas and then also electricity for air conditioning. And these will be all electric rooftop units. And we're able to get, I think it's $100,000 almost in incentives from Eversource to help pay for it. So it's not even a grant, it's just like essentially a mass save incentive. Eversource is our electric provider. So they are the sponsor of Mass Save. So we're excited about that. This week, we're applying to do something similar at Wilson Middle School with the Green Communities program. So to get an Eversource incentive and a grant to help pay for a good portion of that work and offset our capital costs. And then we have two other big heat pump projects, which are more comprehensive. Rick Devereaux mentioned the Climate Leaders Grant that Natick just got. That would be to support half of the cost of the schematic design at Lilja Elementary School. So actually, I think I'll probably share my screen again. Turns out I do have things to share with you guys. 1 second.
That's great.
Let's see. Reshare. Okay, so you guys can see Lilja. Yeah.
Yep.
So this is an update I gave to the school committee in February. Since then, we've actually gotten a grant. So it's you have like the more recent update. And I actually have to write the school committee a memo for tonight because apparently it's on their agenda for tonight. So as background, MSBA, you're probably more familiar with MSBA with the new schools that we've built in Natick. That's kind of what Natick has always done with MSBA, but they also have this program called ARP, which stands for Accelerated Repair Program. And that used to be a program that you could use to replace boilers, like aging boilers with new boilers. You can still use it to replace windows. You can use it to help replace roofs. It's a really great way for a community to save money on these capital improvements that they need to sustain the life of this asset that often the MSBA helped pay for in the first place. Now the MSBA program has changed so that they won't pay for any fossil fuel infrastructure anymore for the accelerator repair program. And they're doing the heat pump conversion projects now. So Lilja was invited into the program to be part of the heat pump conversion program. And the first phase of that is to do the schematic design. And to do that, we actually have to vote at town meeting as a community to fund the schematic design. We expect that will cost about $300,000. And so we were able to get a Climate Leaders Grant, which for $150,000. And that's from the state, from the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources. And then we have $100,000 left over from a utility incentive that we received that we put into our clean energy revolving fund. And then we're going to ask town meeting at fall town meeting for $50,000. So together that would bring us the $300,000 we need to support the schematic design. And then if everything goes according to plan, we would be starting the schematic design in January. And when I say town meeting, I don't know if I said this, we're talking about like fall town meeting is our plan. And then we have kind of a longer timeline until we get through construction. if we make it that far. So we'll do the schematic design and we'll learn more, and then we would have to fund the project. And that is that project. And one of the reasons, actually, I'll just add one more thing. So, oh, I don't have it in here. This is from an older presentation, but part of what I think is really exciting about this project is that it would add air conditioning to all of the classrooms at Lilja Elementary, and it can get really hot in classrooms in the spring and the fall. And it's just getting worse. And we know that because the temperature is increasing. We're expected to have more days over 90 degrees. And some of the time this is happening when students are taking their MCAS tests and things like that. And we've just received so much feedback from teachers and school nurses that the heat is really, really problematic for learning, which makes complete sense to me, considering how I feel when I'm, in buildings without air conditioning. I struggle in the summer. Does anyone have any questions about Lilja?
Just to make sure I
Yeah.
understand, 300,000 just for the design of the system?
Yes.
Is there any ballpark as to what the system cost itself would be? That
Yeah.
seems like a
Yeah.
huge number, but
It's really expensive. So, Doug, like thinking about the heat pumps that you added at your house, like I think most of us who have tried to retrofit our homes to add air conditioning or change our heating system, like we know that we have direct experience that the most expensive part is the distribution system, right? And so for this project, we would have to develop a new distribution system at Lilja because it wasn't designed for air conditioning. And so a heat pump project there we are projecting it could cost $4 million to do that project. The good news is that the MSBA would pay for a good portion of that. We're anticipating about 40%. But and then we also have access to other grant opportunities. So we apply for that schematic design funding, and then we would also apply there's a $1 million grant available through the Climate Leaders Program that we would plan on applying for if we were able to pursue design or construction.
Thanks. And Donna just got her hand up. Donna?
Yes, there's a lot of naysayers. And someone said to me as soon as they heard I was on the FinCom, that I had to be careful because all of that environmental stuff was so expensive. And I'm actually excited about the environmental stuff that's in the works. And what do you suggest saying to the naysayers? I mean, why? I mean, I think it's more expensive not to do it, right?
Yeah, I think it can be hard. Like with the Lilja project, I have had some like personal concerns about the cost of doing it, but then I also think about the costs to our students who really struggle to learn in those kinds of environments, and then also what the cost is of not doing it, both in terms of what we what we tell our students are important, what we teach them about climate change, and then that we would actively be going against our own recommendations on that. And then there's also potential that in the future we could end up paying more for relying on fossil fuels, right? Like with electricity and systems that are all electric, we can have like more clarity on costs, and we can design it in a way that pairs that system with existing assets like our solar arrays that can help reduce demand and leverage those resources to maximize efficiency. But yeah, there is a cost to it. I guess the good thing is right now in Massachusetts, we have a lot of state funding to help support it. And there's also a cost to replacing fossil fuel equipment with new fossil fuel equipment. And if there's a way to match that deferred maintenance or need for capital reinvestment, then I think it's a great time to like pair grants and clean energy solutions and hopefully end up actually offsetting the costs in Natick that we would have had to pay anyway without someone else's support.
Very helpful and great answer. I really appreciate it. And I really love how you've gotten funding for this schematic design. That's just leveraging all kinds of grants and only a $50,000 ask. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Bill had a question in the chat about what the savings from the Lilja project would be. I mean, I guess if we're adding air conditioning where we didn't have it, obviously it's going to be more expensive, but how do you put a cost on the fact that the students will actually be able to learn more effectively?
Yeah, we don't have any estimates for anything about the Lilja project yet because we'll learn more about that during schematic design. But you're right. I'm not convinced that'll actually be a savings for the town. But it's a question of what we want for the environment for our schools.
Yeah. Good.
That actually ties into the Benham Department of Energy grant, which we were awarded back in 2023. And that project is similar to Lilja Elementary, but would cost quite a bit less because we wouldn't need to redo the distribution system at Benham. So Benham was actually piped for air conditioning, and then the chiller that would connect to the distribution system was like value engineered out, and it was never installed. So that project, if we're able to finish it, would also add a heat pump to Benham. That one wouldn't eliminate the boilers, and I'm not sure if we would actually fully eliminate them at Lilja either. But it would, the boilers should be used in more of a resilience capacity or at much lower temperatures, and they could work together with a heat pump. So that is that project. Okay, other things that we have on the list. I wanted to ask if anyone from this group is going to the Mass Energize conference because I saw a couple of you there last year. If not,
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Rick's
All right,
going.
Rick, well,
When and where is it?
Wednesday.
it's on Wednesday. It's at Bentley, I believe.
Bentley.
Maybe it's Bentley.
Bentley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'll be there. Megan's going too, and I'm presenting at two of the panels there. So, I'll be at the heat pump one, and then there's one that's for sustainability staff, that I'll be at. So, just a heads up, I'll be there. Related to that, I can send this group a link if you're interested. I did a presentation for the Massachusetts Climate Action Network recently, that was kind of fun, and it was just talking about the role of sustainability staff in municipalities, and I can send you guys that link if you're interested in hearing more from me, which maybe you're not. Brinley, I saw your hand was up.
Yeah, we've passed it now, but I was going to say, I really wanted to go to the Mass Energize, but it is our first track meet of the season at home. It's the only home track meet, and I have so much work to do. So I would have to miss half the day and with travel. So I'm so bummed, and I'm so glad other people are going because I think it's great. And congratulations on presenting. I think we should all be really proud to call you a part of our community for everything that you do.
No, thanks. Well, actually, I'm glad that you raised your hand because you reminded me to get to one of the things that was on the later part of my list, but I'm just going to go ahead and mention it. Since you have experience on the recycling committee, so Natick is starting a trash and recycling study. We're looking at our current way of picking up trash and recycling and how we do it in-house, and we're just exploring what the right options are now. We haven't really taken a deep dive on this in many years. And that committee, or I don't know if it's a committee, it's a group of people who are working on that. I think their first meeting is on Thursday, so we're just kicking it off. And I'm part of that group as well as Ann Lentel from the Net Zero Committee will be on it too. She's our committee member who is focused on waste reduction. And then there's some folks from the DPW and the finance team, and then some other residents that are involved in it. So nothing to report yet, but just wanted to let you know that was kicking off. And then another thing that we're doing.
Could I just?
Go ahead.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead, Cindy.
Could you just give a little bit of a sort of a preview of what maybe what other communities that are doing the same kind of like looking at their system, like what are the kinds of things that might result from the investigation that you're going to be doing? What kind of changes
Sure.
other places are doing that make things more efficient or more cost effective or whatever?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Well, I think there's a lot for me to learn through it, so I don't know how much I can predict in the future, but I can share a couple of challenges that we face as a community. We're one of a few communities that has our trash and recycling services in-house. It's actually pretty rare for that to happen, and that means that we have to purchase all of our own equipment and maintain that equipment, and our trash and recycling trucks are really very expensive to purchase and difficult to maintain. Another thing that is not unique to Natick, but is also more rare, is when we pick up trash, we pick it with people. Our recycling bins, as you guys are familiar with, if you are getting town services for recycling, they're picked up with like that like large like automatic arm. Um, and that is great in some ways, but in terms of like driver safety and things like that, but then that does seem to like limit the amount of houses that you can pick up because it takes more time to stop and use the arm. And maybe I'm even wrong about that, but that's part of my understanding. But so it might end up with us having a trash system that has an automated arm also, because it's also really hard to hire people to work in the sanitation program. So we have a lot of turnover in that department or division, and it's challenging. And then I don't really think it would change what we collect from a single stream service perspective. And I think this is mostly looking at curbside. I'm not sure how much it's going to go into the recycling center, but those are just some things that we're starting to explore.
Thank you very much. That's helpful.
Yeah, no problem.
Can I add on to that real quick,
Yeah.
Jillian?
Yeah, go
So
for it.
when I was on the recycling committee, way back when we did this analysis that actually brought trash in-house. And I'm sure this is going to be more because as time progresses, you learn more. But it really was an analysis of what is the most cost-effective and efficient way to take care of our trash. So back when we did that, it was the people on the group determined that it was more efficient for us to have the trucks and do it ourselves. Times have changed a lot since then, so there's a lot to analyze with that. But it really is a cost analysis for the town to do this again. That's my understanding. It's one of the biggest reasons why we do it. It's been a while since we did it, so doing it again is not a bad thing. And the fact that Jillian is on there is a really great thing because it will help keep the focus on making sure that we're not losing our environmental factors when they're considering the cost analysis.
Thanks for adding that, Brinley.
And then another thing I wanted to share with you guys, I'm going to have it in my newsletter hopefully later this week, is we are participating in a program through the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. We became part of that program in 2018, and we had to write a preparedness plan for Natick. And when we're talking about preparedness, we're talking about climate resilience. And in that plan, we had to come up with a list of actions that Natick wanted to work on as it related to making ourselves more resilient to climate change. And in this to maintain our eligibility for grants, like the one we applied for the 2 parks in that multiple park project in South Natick, we have to update our plan, and that we have to update it through this process that they're calling MVP 2.0. And an MVP 2.0, what's kind of great is that the focus is really on social resilience and understanding that the people who are most impacted by climate change, regardless of which community they live in, are typically the ones who are more marginalized. People who have lower income have a harder time bouncing back from an event like even like flooding in their home. It's like they have, it's hard for them to like pay for the costs associated with fixing things. Maybe if there's, you know, a high heat day and you're someone uh, who is homebound and needs medical care, then it's hard for you to maybe get that medical care and also to take care of yourself if you don't have air conditioning in your home and it's extreme heat, all these things. So we are working as part of the program. We have five community liaisons that we're working with. These are residents who can help us connect to different underrepresented groups in our community. We have someone who works at the Service Council who's part of that, someone who drives a van at the senior center to pick up people who need help getting to doctor's appointments. We have someone who works with students and Natick public school families who are homeless or who need services based on their income. And anyway, together right now, we're doing outreach to the community about how we can to get their feedback on different areas that we've learned about on climate and social resilience. And we have a survey that is live now that I'm going to put in my newsletter, but we're also doing a bunch of events that are really focused on connecting with the people that we don't usually hear from in town. So the survey is available to everyone, but then we're doing an event with the Service Council, like a picnic with them. We're hoping to partner with Open Door, which has a community dinner, a free community dinner a few times a month. We're going to speak and get feedback from seniors at the monthly lunch that they have. So there's a lot of outreach that we're doing on that I think is meaningful and will help inform another part of that project, which is to do a seed project where the state and part of the planning project, they want you to do like a quick, almost like I don't know what the right word is, but like they give you funding to do a project quickly in response to the feedback that you have. So kind of like almost like a demonstration project, if you will, that we'll be doing next year, next fiscal year. That's a $50,000 seed project that we're excited to figure out, what to do with the liaisons. And yeah, so we only have like 5 minutes left. We're just talking and talking. Is there anything else that you guys want to ask me about that I didn't bring up proactively? Yeah.
You may have a hard stop at 10, which is fine. We often will go on till 10:30 or so, but perfectly understand if you need to get on. Brinley and Bill both have their hands up. Brinley?
Yes, thank you. I was at the most recent Memorial School Building Committee meeting, and I thought your Solar in Schools presentation was incredible. And I wonder if there's a plan to share that more widely and tell the community more about it, or if you want to tell us a little about it today. Or I just wanted to say it was truly incredible, and thank you so much for sharing it then.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can go over a little. So let me just share that really quickly with you guys. I won't share the whole presentation, but I'll just share the highlights with you. And this kind of goes to the question that Donna had, which was about the Memorial School Building Committee. So I am a non-voting member of that committee, which has its pros and its cons. But that committee is still very much in the early phases of its work. We are in the process of selecting an OPM for that project, so an owner's project manager, which means that we haven't hired a designer yet. That comes after you hire an OPM, which means we really have nothing to share in terms of design. We're just, like I said, in the beginning phases. So what I shared at the most recent committee meeting, I was asked to share an update or an overview of the solar projects that we have in Natick, focused on Natick Public Schools. And what I shared was this, basically, this deck, which is available on their agenda. You can, there's a link to it and you can check it out. But basically shared that, we have solar on at six of our schools. The only one we don't have it on is Brown. We also have it in 2 parking lots. We have a battery system at Kennedy. It's our first battery system. Overall, those systems together produce about 40% of the electricity needs at Natick Public Schools. Not all those actually go directly into the building because of how they're interconnected, but their production amounts to that much. And in just 2025, they saved Natick Public Schools a little under $200,000 in electricity costs at a baseline. So they actually saved them more than that, which I'll try to give you like a very high level explanation. This just is a snapshot of a screenshot of our live portal that we have for our solar arrays. And this is a list of all the solar projects that we have for Natick Public Schools. Again, it doesn't include the ones that we've done on town buildings, which is primarily the DPW and ice rink for town buildings, and then also the senior center. All of our solar projects are financed through power purchase agreements. And the way that they save us money is shows up on our bills, basically. And it's either through savings that show up as credits, which is the red circle, or it's through essentially like cost avoidance, where we use less electricity from the grid and we pay less for the solar electricity that we use in its place. And then we also do things like in the very beginning of this conversation, we talked about how we all pay more for electricity that we're using at peak times. And for us as residents, that's kind of like averaged out on our bills over the year. For commercial accounts like schools, that actually shows up on our bill in different ways, and it's a really meaningful part of our bill. And solar, when it's installed behind the meter, can help us reduce that. So these are the 2 ways that we install solar: behind the meter and in front of the meter. Behind the meter has this bonus savings where we can reduce our monthly demand that we pay, which is tied to how much electricity we're using at like a specific moment in time. And then it also can reduce our annual demand, which is tied to this thing called a capacity tag, which I'm not going to go into all of this for you guys, but the headline I'm going to show you for behind the meter is at Wilson Middle School, where, and these numbers, the blue and the yellow number here, they're swapped. At Wilson Middle School, our power purchase agreement, we pay 95 cents for every kilowatt hour that we use from solar. Alternatively, we would be paying 17 cents for every kilowatt hour that we get from the grid. And when you see how much solar we used, it actually ends up equaling this 26,219. That's just the savings based on that base rate alone. But then we reduce our monthly demand charge because the solar is preventing us from using more from the grid. So we're able to save an additional almost $27,000. And then we also are able to reduce how much electricity we're using at what's called peak hour, which happens once a year. Nobody knows when it's going to happen, but typically it happens on a very hot day, more increasingly like later in the afternoon, when everyone's using air conditioning, and that 15-minute increment is part of this peak hour, and that creates a charge for us that we pay every month based on how many kilowatt hours we use. And when we have solar behind the meter, we're reducing the amount that we use often during that peak hour in the summer when we're producing a lot of solar. And we are able to save, this is an estimate, a little under $9,000 or so in 2025 from that. So our savings go from being $26,000 from this PPA rate savings, which is how we traditionally look at solar savings, to actually $63,000 almost. So it was a long presentation and there was a lot of good questions, but you're welcome to look at it and then definitely reach out if you have more questions about it.
Are these presentations out on your site? Yeah.
Well, that presentation is on the agenda for the most recent Memorial School Building Committee.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I put a
Julian,
link to it. I put a link to it.
Thanks,
thanks, Brittany.
Brinley. Bill.
So I have two questions. One of them, I'll start with the one that I think you can address the best. You talked about peak load, and you talked about some of the things the town is able to do to reduce that peak load. But I also understand some communities have that available for households. Have you given any thought to that? I don't know what it's called, but
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do that and not use air conditioning in the afternoon when it's hot for an hour.
Yeah, that's a great question. So in Wellesley, you can sometimes when you're driving through Wellesley Square, you see signs for that. I forget what they call it, but maybe they call it demand response, which is a common name for that in the industry. And Natick participates in that for our school, our buildings as much as we can. But so we don't, as a town, we don't own any of the electrical infrastructure like Wellesley does. So they have a municipal light plant. However, the exciting news is Eversource is in the process of installing new smart meters at our homes, and there's like a lot of negativity out there about it because I don't know. I actually am really excited about it because it can, if you look at your Eversource account, if you already have had a new smart meter installed, which my house actually already did, you get a letter before they install it. And it doesn't cost you anything for them to install it, but they will be able to use meters like that to help incentivize people to use less electricity during peak times, like you were mentioning, Bill. So having that smart meter now makes that a possibility. And my understanding through conversations with the state and attending meetings with the utilities, that's their intent with it. And my mom lives in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and they've had a program like this for a long time. So her bill, there's three different rates that she could be charged every day for electricity, and the lowest rate is at night. So she actively does things like schedule her dishwasher to run at night instead of during the day, and that helps her save money on her bill, but then it also prevents her community from having to invest in electricity infrastructure that they don't need if they just were using their electricity more efficiently or like if they were just being smarter about it. So that's where that's headed.
So maybe in the future?
I think in the future, I think definitely in the future. And that's like part of what we were talking about in the very beginning with if you have an electric car, then Eversource is now letting you, if you have a charger at your home, you can manage when you charge, and that's part of it. So I'm actually really pumped about it. Yeah.
One minor add-on to that. It wouldn't necessarily save you money, but kind of helps the grid out. I know with our heat pumps, we also have smart thermostats, and one of the things that the smart thermostat allows you to do is participate in some kind of a community savings program. It's not the right word, but essentially what you agree to do is that when the utility determines that there's going to be abnormally high need, particularly during peak cooling needs in the summer, if you sign up for this, you give the utility access to your thermostat to essentially pre-cool before the load gets really high. And then so you don't lose any comfort, but you're using the electricity at a more advantageous time for the overall taxing on the grid, which was kind of cool. So be interesting to see if that kicks in or not.
Very cool.
One more.
Yeah.
One more question.
Rick, before you ask this, I want to hear Bill's other question. Then I had something to say before Rick that I think you would care about, Rick. So go ahead, Bill.
Okay. The other question is more personal. My solar array is closing in on 10 years, and the company went bankrupt, so I don't have a warranty. And my question is, what the heck do I do if I have a problem? And I know you can't recommend individual companies, but I wonder if there's a group of, I don't know whether you can help us with that, but it would be really nice if I had someplace that I could go to get my system fixed if it breaks.
Let me ask. So Megan and I are both on this listserv of sustainability staff in other municipalities. I think there's like 65 of us. And I will ask that group if they have any suggestions, if they've encountered it for a resident, because
Thank you.
I don't really know many. Okay, yeah, thanks for reminding me about that, Bill. The other thing I want to share that Megan has been very deeply involved in is I know this group has cared about artificial turf. And I wanted to share that Megan and I today are sending a memo with our research about artificial turf to the Turf and Field Study Group. And that should be available again later today, but it does a comparison of artificial turf and natural grass across a series of risk categories, if you will, including health, environmental, and regulatory slash compliance. And yeah, overall, our finding is that uh, artificial turf, we believe there's greater uncertainty with artificial turf and potentially greater risks with artificial turf. And we spell that out in a summary table and then also provide all of the background research in that document. So that should be available to you guys soon.
Well, thank you. That's good to hear. I was planning
Megan did a
to,
ton of work on it, a lot
yeah,
of research.
yeah. Well, every little bit going into them really helps at this point. So Roger Luckman is doing a great job of sort of steering the new data toward them. And, he's been just invaluable on this. And I think last week, Carla Sangri was on, and I hope that Roger and Carla can engage in some conversation. So this is a moving target. It's going to play out over the next 6 months to fall meeting. I don't want to keep you though. I did want to say that I did hear from a friend, just going back two steps in the conversation about the smart meters, and that tuned me into this fear. And I did a quick sort of AI dive to try to understand what in the world the issue was, and I didn't really come up with anything. And I'm just wondering, my question is, will the town take any effort to post anything itself, helping to kind of explain what the advantages are and trace where the opposition to it comes from?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm thinking about putting in my newsletter. We don't own the meters that Eversource installs, and we don't own any of the infrastructure that is Eversource's infrastructure. So, my perspective is that we can give people updates about what Eversource is doing, but we're not responsible for, like, not responsible is maybe the wrong word, but
I think I get where
Eversource
you're
is
going.
installing this. Yeah. So the things that have I've seen in the community, there's been questions about having these meters at your home and what health impacts they might have. In my personal research about them, I looked on like the American Cancer Society's website about smart meters, and I didn't find that there was anything different about a smart meter versus a lot of the other technology that we have in our homes, including things like smart thermostats. But you know, I don't know everything about smart meters, and it's not
Well,
my choice to install them,
I
right?
saw a chart about radiation, which compares it to, all of the other things in your house that you use, and it seemed that it was minimal. I mean,
Yeah,
minimal. So I just don't get it.
those are my personal findings also. And then I think there's also, I think it's cool that we can use smart meters to use less electricity and save money overall. But then, there's also, I think, fears of like Big Brother watching what you're using all the time and things like that. And those are things that are, that's just, it's like out of our control.
It already
So
is. Okay.
that's kind of
Thanks.
how I feel, but I don't know. It's, everyone's entitled to their own opinion about it, and there's certainly a lot of monitoring and surveillance that happens in every community now. So in all
Yep.
aspects of our life, I mean,
I'm
most
with
of us
you.
carry like one of these, and I'm sure that there's information about me that I don't know that someone has that they have. And I've just become used to it. But it
Absolutely.
doesn't mean
Thank
it's
you.
right. Yeah.
So I see that there's three of us with our hands up, and we are past 10. Jillian, maybe you can give us a sense of how much more time you do have, and then I want to let Martin jump to the front of the line for the next question, just since he hasn't had a chance to speak yet. But um, do you have a
Yeah,
little more?
I could probably do like 10 more minutes.
Okay.
If yeah.
Okay, great. Martin.
Yeah, thank you very much. Jillian, I was very interested to hear that there is information that sort of, I guess we'll call it neutral and fair information about artificial turf that's come out. And I'm interested in where we can find that report, where we can find that information. Is it on the artificial turf committee has a website, or is it on some other town page, or what?
I haven't sent it to them yet. Megan and I worked on finalizing that memo last week, and then we asked our health department, land facilities department, and conservation agent to review the memo and make sure that everything we were saying was accurate in their mind. And we got their feedback. And today we're gonna finalize it and send it. So I can share it with if you're okay with it, I like to send it to the study group first today, and then tomorrow I'm happy to share it with you guys. I'm not sure how that study group is handling information. If they're, I'm not aware of if they have a web page or not.
They
But
don't. They
okay,
don't yet.
okay.
They have
So
minutes,
anything you
but
guys asked for. Yeah.
They have a town webpage now because I pushed for there to be one and I put it in the link. So there is a page that is giving it very limited information. It's not listing everything, but the town did put up a page because I asked them to.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I'll be looking forward to that.
Great. Gary.
Yeah, well, thanks for covering such a wide range of topics here. I'm just curious to see if there's any news on trying to get the public schools to use electric school buses here in Natick.
Yeah, that's a good question. We did a whole study with the Mass Clean Energy Center on electric school buses, and the reality is they cost a lot more money right now, especially now that there's not federal funding to help support the cost of them. Natick also is in a difficult place where we don't own our own school buses and we contract them, and I believe our contracts are like 3 to 5 years. They might even go 7 years now. There might be like room for that kind of extension for school buses. So it's a big challenge to do. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so I've got one more question, but before I ask it, I mostly just want to thank you, Jillian. It's been like a fire hose of goodness this morning, and honestly, the political environment we live in, to have all of this information about progress and improvements and new things to come. Um, it's it's been good for the soul to hear you this morning. So thank you so much for all your work. Megan, welcome to the team. We're excited to have you part of it. My own question was just not really town related stuff, but I'm wondering if you know much of anything about what's called balcony solar or plug-in solar, which is these opportunities for very low cost and low small scale solar panels that you literally plug in to a regular electric outlet to feed up to a few hundred watts into your system. Affordable for renters, can be placed on balconies, on in your backyard and things like that. But apparently, there's some confusion about to what extent whether they are actually allowed. Various states, including ours, have legislation that's in various states of progress in terms of authorizing them. I think the biggest issue is to what extent they do or don't feed back into the grid and whether that represents any kind of a danger to electrical workers, when there are power outages. So I was just curious if you know anything about the status of those for use in this state.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know a lot about it. I will say that I think like I don't know if you guys have read about this, but like with electric scooters and bikes, I've read stories about fires happening when people are charging those in their apartments and things like that. So like not in Natick, but like in other places. So I can see the need to make sure that things are safe and I think having owned two homes, each with very different like electric systems, like not every outlet is the same, right? Like what's behind it can be really different. So I'm glad that if I hope that in Massachusetts that we're a state that is making sure that there's rules that ensure people's safety. But I don't know a lot of details about it.
Okay, great. Do you have time for one more question? I see Carol's
Sure.
got her
Yeah,
hand
it's especially from Carol.
So
Ooh.
I have a question. I'm using um, these tools differently than I thought. Thank you.
Oh, no question. All right. I think you were probably just applauding and saying great stuff, right?
That's nice.
Great
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for the update and all the good work and all the work to come. Um, I think at this time we usually move on to kind of current events and also just in terms of upcoming sessions, we're quickly transitioning now to prepare for spring town meeting. Our moderator and FinCom chair will be with us next week to walk us through the warrant. Then we'll take a week off as we all go watch the marathon or run in it in some cases. Uh, and then continue with more. But then we'll be ready for more speakers in May. So Cindy's been doing a great job suggesting speakers for me. If anybody else has speakers they'd like to hear, please let me know about that. Brinley, what's going on in town this week?
Yes.
No,
Sorry,
are you
Doug.
going
I'm
to
just
sign
going to
off?
say goodbye to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it's really nice chatting with all of you because, like, I'm glad that I brought you some positivity or that Megan and I did, but it also can get pretty down, like working on climate change every day and dealing with what seems like really stupid obstacles sometimes in local government. And just knowing that you guys are so supportive and excited about this work really made my morning too. So thank you.
Good.
Jillian, real quick before you go, I just want to say thank you, and I want to tell everybody that Natick, Earth Day all around Natick is on again this year, and Jillian and the Net Zero Committee have been helping and working towards participation with that as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for that, and thank you for being here.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jillian. Thanks, Megan.
Great to meet everyone. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks. All right. So again, back to you, Brinley. What else is going on in town this week?
So this week we have tonight, there is a school committee meeting. And it is also the reorg. And as you heard Jillian speak earlier, there's a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight that might interest people. If anyone wants to check it out, I always recommend tuning in or watching later. I did put the agenda link in the chat if anybody wants to look at the agendas and see. There is, in terms of the turf study group that Jillian and Rick mentioned, there is a meeting tonight at 5 o'clock with them. It will be probably a tight, short meeting. And that is also, I think, of interest in this group for paying attention to that. Tomorrow night, sorry, I got to look at my calendar while I'm doing this. Tomorrow night, there is FinCom is having another meeting, and the turf article is coming up again. I mean, the turf study committee article is coming up again. It went a little weird at last FinCom meeting. And so it's coming up again. And that is tomorrow night at FinCom. And then I can't remember if there's a select board meeting Wednesday night or not. But I did put tons of all of the links in for everyone, including the link to the survey that Jillian had been talking about with, let me scroll back up to it, with the municipal vulnerability preparedness. She had mentioned that there was a survey. So if you scroll back up to the chat, through the chat around 9:35 a.m., I put in that information and the survey. If people want to take the survey for that, that would be pretty awesome. And then always I'll say, if you are interested in sustainability, emailing the Memorial School Building Committee and telling them that, and emailing the school committee and telling them that, and the select board is always a great idea. And way back from the very beginning, when Doug, you had asked about the plans for the South Natick Park area. I did put a link to that up in the back in the very beginning. And so if anybody wants to see where the designs are for the South Natick Park plan, that link is up in the beginning of the conversation from when we were there.
Thank you, Brinley. And again, thank you for putting all the links in the chat. I do want to just continue to let people know that, for those of you that attend the session, you might not feel any need to go back and look at the recording of it on YouTube, but the YouTube recordings now include all of these links. So almost just as a resource, if you haven't happened to save your own copy of the chat it's a great place to go to be able to get back to all of this information that Brinley supplements. And I see Donna's got her hand up, but I also want to give a shout out to Donna. I know you weren't successful in getting reelected to the school committee, but when I heard the very next day you'd been appointed to FinCom, kudos for stepping up. That'll take probably as much of your work, if not more, than the school committee would, but you're going to be a great member of that committee. So thank you for stepping up to that. And what is your question or comment?
Well, thank you. And they've been trying to get me on that for years. And Linda Walschlager sent her condolences when she found out. So we were laughing. I have a question about Brinley because of the FinCom meeting. Can you say it went awry? Can you tell us how it went awry and what you hope will come out of the meeting tomorrow?
I am not sure I understand what's happening in the meeting tomorrow. And I'm not sure if I would say publicly that it went awry. I just feel like it went a little weirdly. I don't know that.
What was weird about it?
Because I don't think that they were really actually prepared yet to do what they think they want to do. I don't think they made their case to FinCom to say that we need to present a report right now to town meeting, which I happen to agree with. They hadn't really done enough work yet to have something balanced to report to town meeting.
Okay, they're reconsidering it because they want to come up with I think, a positive motion to hear it. So you're saying that you don't think it's ready to be heard?
Well, I don't know that it's not. So the argument they were trying, this is how I understand it. And Rick is probably better to weigh in on this, but this is how I'm understanding what happened. So they are saying what I think they were saying, from what I gathered, is that they want feedback from town meeting about what town meeting wants out of the school committee. Out of the study committee. And FinCom was like, well, you guys are the study committee. You're supposed to create a balanced report of all sides to the presentation. And you haven't made your case enough to us for giving this report because this should come from you. So my guess is what they're trying to do tomorrow night is to represent information that says, hey, we need feedback from town meeting. I really personally think that they're just trying to get out information right now about how desperate, in quotes, desperate the town is for more playing fields and time. And I think they're seeing this as an opportunity to present that side of the argument about fixing the fields. I am still firmly of the opinion and strong in this opinion that they have not done their homework to present any kind of a balanced perspective for what I think they were tasked with. Right now, what I think they were tasked with and what they think they were tasked with is probably different. Bruce Evans, the past chair of the select board, is the one who created this study committee because we kind of asked them to with the article, with the moratorium article. And so I'm not really 100% sure where his mind is on it. Like I said, I have been having a hard time finding information about it and staying up to date. So I asked Jay Purapadat, she was the communications director for town, to create a website for them to kind of encourage them to have an information page. So he did make that happen. So there is limited information on there about what their plans are and, where they're going and what they're doing. Again, I'm not sure it's a really full scope source of information, that website, but at least it's there and gives a little bit of an opportunity for people to see what's happening. I do wish there was a more full scope of purview of the study committee. But that's my take, is that they want to try to get the information out about the importance of needing playtime and not necessarily, and trying to ask for feedback on that and not necessarily trying to give a balanced perspective from homework done, because they have not done that themselves.
Thanks,
Rick?
Brindley. That's really, really helpful. And I've stayed out of this while I was running for school committee, but I've been kind of heartbroken as a sponsor for that petition on the advisory moratorium that the study committee was not really community-wide and representative of more opinions. So thank you. Your feedback's helpful.
Well, I really would ask Rick, because he's gone to so much more than I have. So, and I do think that we can take the rest of this offline, since I know people want to go, but I do think Rick has been more up to date with it than I have been.
Rick, do you want to weigh in? I had put you on mute, but there you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Brindley. I mean, I think there are a lot of possible reasons that have gone through my head. I don't know that I would really doubt that I ever have a better beat on anything than you and or Donna or a lot of people, but I have my theories. But it's probably in the right venue unless people are really want that sort of view. And I know we're no longer recorded, are we anyway?
Yeah, actually, let me go ahead and turn it off. And I do plan on editing out this last part, since it's really
Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
didn't realize we were recording.
Yeah.